Hi, I'm Claire, and these are my most anticipated releases of the first half of 2017. I've only included books that have definite release dates between January and June of 2017 because that's what I had most of, and I've only included books that are the first in a new series or that are standalone. I've not included any sequels because if I did that, we'd be here a very, very long time. Because I'm a very original person and it's 2017, I have 17 books to talk about, so let's get started. First, on January the 10th, which is so soon, I'm really excited because there is a new novella by Seanan McGuire out from Tor.com Publishing, and it is called Dusk or Dark or Dawn or Day. It is a ghost story about a girl called Jenna who's died before her time. It is set in a universe where everybody has a set time for their life, and Jenna has died too soon, so she owes a debt of time. And instead of stealing that time from living people, she does volunteer work at a suicide prevention hotline to make up that time, to earn that time properly. This sounds like a great premise, and I love most everything that I've read by Seanan McGuire. I trust her to tell a good story, so I'm super excited to get my teeth into that one. Next, on the 17th of January, we have Martians Abroad by Carrie Vaughn. This is a YA sci-fi novel that comes out from Tor Books, and it's about twins, Polly and Charles, and both of them live on a colony on Mars. Polly wants to be a pilot and go explore the galaxy, but her plans are squashed when her mother announces that she and her brother are being sent to an elite school on Earth, which is a planet she has absolutely no interest in visiting. This sounds like a really fun premise, and I've heard really good things about Carrie Vaughn's other series, the Kitty books. I also have an arc of this on NetGalley, so I'll be reading it very, very soon, which is great because I've been wanting to read more sci-fi in 2017. On January 24th, we have Dreadnought by April Daniels. This comes out from Diversion Publishing, and it is the first book in the Nemesis series. This is a superhero book in which our protagonist, Danny, has a big problem. She was the only person to witness the death of the world's greatest superhero, Dreadnought, and she also inherited all of his powers. And some of his powers included giving her the body that she always thought she should have, which is a bit of a problem for her because she has been struggling with coming out as trans, and she hasn't yet come out as trans. So now she has a body that matches her gender identity, but she also has to deal with everybody around her not understanding what is going on with that aspect of her. It's such a great premise. I can imagine so much conflict already, and I already want to root for Danny, and I already want her to figure out how to deal with all of this. I just want to read this book right now, but I have to wait another 23 days, which makes me sad. Lastly, in January, on the 31st, we have Six Wakes by Mur Lafferty, which is finally coming out from Orbit. This was due out in 2016, but without a precise date, and it was pushed back to 2017. This is a clone murder mystery in space, and I cannot wait. The book opens with the entire crew of the ship waking up in the cloning bay at the same time, which means that they all died at the same time and they had to be regenerated into clones. They don't have any of their memories, but they realize that they were all murdered, and because they're alone on the ship, because they're the only people there, they know that one of them had to have done it. Now, I don't read a lot of crime fiction. I don't usually get super excited by the idea of a whodunit, but this is such a badass idea that I definitely want to know what happened and which of the clones did it. I have two books for February. The first is The Stars Are Legion by Cameron Hurley. This comes out on the 7th from Angry Robot in the UK and Saga Press in the US. The book is set on a giant cruising ship called the Legion, which seems to be the entire world as far as the character are concerned, and our protagonist is Zan, who wakes up without any memories to a group of people who tell her that not only are they her family, but she is their only hope for ever leaving the Legion. I don't know much more than that, and from what I've heard from Cameron Hurley's general style of fiction, it's probably going to be a lot more convoluted than that, but I am really looking forward to it. I've been following Hurley's blog and her nonfiction for a while. I'm currently reading her nonfiction book from last year, The Geek Feminist Revolution, but I haven't read any of her fiction yet, and I'm really looking forward to this one. Next is The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. This comes out on the 28th of February in the US and on the 6th of April in the UK. The publisher that I found listed on Goodreads was Walker Books, but I'm not actually sure if that's for the US or the UK. It is a YA contemporary that is inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement. It's about an African American girl called Star who is from a poor neighborhood on the wrong side of town but goes to school at a very posh high school with a lot of white people, and she has to juggle those two aspects of her life, and it particularly comes to the fore when she witnesses the killing of her friend Khalid by police. Her friend was unarmed and the police officer was white. Again, it's obviously inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement, by real life stories about police brutality, particularly in the US, and that's something that I've been following in the news, so I'll be really interested to see how it's treated through the lens of fiction. I have 3 things for March. First is a short fiction anthology called The Djinn Falls in Love and Other Stories, which comes out on the 14th from Solaris Books. This is all about djinns and genies, this concept of fantasy that exists in every culture, that has a name in every language, because the djinns and the genies are always there waiting for you to make a poorly phrased wish that you might end up regretting. I'm super excited about this anthology. It has great names attached to it. It features stories from Nnedi Okorafor, Neil Gaiman, Amal Al-Motar, James Smythe, Maria Davana Headley, and Usman Malik, to name just a few. It is also edited by Jared Shurin of Porno Kitsch and Mavesh Murad of the Tor.com podcast Midnight in Karachi. I have been following both of them online for a while now. I've heard both of them speak at various panels at conventions before. I really like their respective bodies of work, and I trust them to pick really amazing stories, so I am super excited to check out this anthology. Next, we have a new novel by John Scalzi. The Collapsing Empire is the first of a new series, and it comes out on March 21st from Tor Books. This is about a world that has expanded very rapidly away from Earth using a technology called the Flow, which allows faster than light travel. Now, the Flow, as per its name, is in constant movement and in constant flux, and it so happens that the Flow is about to move away from where humanity has made its home in space. So we have 3 people desperately trying to save what they can from the empire that has been built. We have a scientist, an airship captain, and the Empress of the Interdependency, which sounds like someone important and in power, and they are trying to save the world from being completely cut off from all faster than light technology, which obviously would mean no contact and perhaps not a lot of resources. I don't know. It sounds like a pretty cool premise, and I've not yet read anything by John Scalzi that I didn't like. I'm completely game for it, especially since I've got an arc from NetGalley, so I'm super excited to be reading that when we come closer to March. Next, on the 28th of March, we have a middle grade novel called The Gauntlet. This is by Karuna Riazzi, and it comes out from Salam Reads. Now, this has been described to me as a steampunk Jumanji middle grade, which I am so there for that. It's about kids that get stuck in a board game full of danger. Steampunky danger. I am super there for that. I don't really know more about it because I don't really need to know more about it. I am so there for that. And now on to April. On the 4th, we have a new novel from Cherie Priest. It's called Brimstone, it comes out from Ace Books, and it's dark historical fantasy, which is completely my jam. It's about a man called Thomas who comes back from the Great War to find that his wife has died of the flu and that he is haunted by dreams of the weapon he operated during the war, which shot not bullets but liquid fire. On the other side of the world, in Florida, we have a clairvoyant called Alice who dreams of Thomas's dreams and nightmares of fire and tries to bring him and his wife's spirits some comfort and respite from all of this. I love Cherie Priest's writing. She's an auto-buy author for me because her general sensibility tends to be a good match for what I enjoy reading, so I am super excited for this one as well. On the 25th of April, we have a new novella from Tor.com Publishing called Buffalo Soldier. It is by Maurice Broaddus. This is about a former espionage agent called Desmond, and he stumbles upon this plot within his homeland of Jamaica where a bunch of really shady people are all vying for control over a young boy called Liege. So Desmond assumes that there's something shady afoot and basically takes the boy under his arm and flees with him, and then I'm assuming shenanigans ensue because they normally do, and that's one of my favorite things. I'm mostly looking forward to this one because it looks from the cover like it is steampunk, but it is not, in fact, set in Victorian London. And even though I do love me some steampunk that is set in Victorian London, it is nice to sometime go to a different setting with our steampunk stories. Moving on to May, we have Brothers Ruin, a new novella by Emma Newman, which comes out on the 14th from Tor.com Publishing. It is the first in a new series called Industrial Magic. As you may be able to tell from the title of the series, this is a little bit steampunky, a little bit of gas lamp fantasy. We are in Victorian England and we follow the story of Archie Gunn, who has just been detected as a new potential mage wizard in training, and so everyone in the Royal Academy for the Esoteric Arts pounces on him because they all want a new apprentice. The problem is that Archie isn't actually the person with the wizardy powers, it's all his sister Charlotte. Well, what can I say? That sounds like the kind of story for me, and I've really enjoyed the sci-fi and the fantasy that I've read from Emma Newman, so I'm super excited that she's now going into my favorite genre of some historical fantasy steampunky goodness. On the 16th of May, we have Flame in the Mist by Renee Adier. This comes out from Putnam, and it is a YA historical novel set in feudal Japan. We follow the story of Mariko, who is the daughter of a prominent samurai and also a very gifted alchemist. She is on her way to a different town to meet the man that she is meant to marry in a political alliance that would greatly benefit her family, but she is ambushed by a group of bandits who have been sent there to kill her, and so she dresses as a boy to infiltrate the gang of bandits to figure out what's going on. If you've ever heard me gush about my love for the slightly obscure subgenre of girl dresses as boy to go to sea and become a pirate, you can probably tell why this really appealed to me. And I also think that feudal Japan sounds like a really interesting setting that I haven't really read about all that often before. On the 23rd of May, we have River of Teeth by Sarah Gailey. This is another Tor.com Publishing novella, and I immediately wanted to know more about it because that title is amazing. There isn't yet much of a synopsis for this on Goodreads, but from what I've found, it sounds like it's set in the American West and it's about importing hippos for meat, which sounds super wacky and pretty interesting. Now, I've been following Sarah Gailey on Twitter for a while now, and I really like what she has to say in general, and I also trust the tastes of the Tor.com Publishing editors. I think their line has been great so far, so I am all in for a wacky sounding novella with a really cool, creepy title. Finally, in June, we have The Refrigerator Monologues, written by Catherine M. Valenti and illustrated by Annie Wu. This comes out on the 6th from Saga Press, and it has one of the best pitch I've heard in a really, really long time. It is a series of short stories focusing on 6 women who live in a universe where superheroes are real. Some of them are female superheroes, some of them are women related to superheroes somehow, but all of them have been fridged. Oh yes, it is the stories of comic book women who have had to be terribly, terribly hurt, killed, raped, brainwashed, had their powers taken away, all to further the narrative arc of a male character. Now this is a long-standing trope in the superhero genre. This happens all the time. It's really, really annoying, and I cannot wait to see some fiction and some beautiful illustrations by women telling the stories of women that I want to see in these worlds and that we are so often not seeing at all. Next we have The Rise and Fall of Dodo, a new novel by Neil Stephenson. It comes out on the 13th of June from William Morrow, and I don't know all that much about it except that it's a new book by Neil Stephenson, and I read his previous release, Seven Eves, in 2015. I absolutely loved it, and I told myself I would definitely pick up some more Neil Stephenson in 2016, that I would go back and read some of his classic novels that people told me in the comments I should definitely read, and then I didn't. So this seems like as good an occasion as any to pick up some more Neil Stephenson and read his newest release. So I just looked up The Rise and Fall of Dodo on Goodreads right now because I felt bad about not telling you anything about it, and it says that it is a future thriller combining history, science, magic, mystery, intrigue, and adventure, and I am totally there for some magic and science combined. But even better than that, it's about a woman who's an expert in linguistics and language, and I am so there for that. I studied languages at university and I love anything about linguistics. This looks like it's gonna push some of my buttons, so I am even more excited about it now. Finally, last on my list is The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue by Mackenzie Lee. This comes out on the 28th of June from Catherine Tagan Books, and I'm so excited about this. This is a historical fantasy novel about 2 young gentlemen called Monty and Percy. They are friends and they are going on their grand tour of Europe together, but as they are traveling they stumbled upon this magical artifact that causes a lot of problems for them and means they have to contend with a manhunt and highwaymen and pirates, and of course they also have to contend with their feelings for each other. This sounds like so much fun. I'm really intrigued by this whole magical artifact thing, and I'm also generally a fan of the friends to lovers arc in a romance plotline, but also I follow the author Mackenzie Lee on Twitter, so I know she is a historian and I'm really interested to see what she is going to do with that. So that's it. Those were my most anticipated releases of the first half of 2017. I really hope you've enjoyed this video because it just took me an age to record and I don't even want to think about editing it just now. Let me know in the comments below if you have other books that you're excited about for 2017, whether it's in the first half or the second half of the year. If you'd like to see more from me, you can check the sidebar right here for more videos, and if you haven't yet, please hit that subscribe button for new videos from me every week. I've been Claire, thanks so much for watching, and see you soon.